When we last left our players, you had been hired by a La Sombra knight called Santiago to help him retrieve an artifact of some sort from a Salubri temple that his brotherhood had destroyed. They'd killed all the Salubri and kind of taken it over. He wanted thank you, Patrick, another round of night moves for everybody. Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate you, my man. You had agreed to help this La Sombra get this artifact that he called the True Cross, which is supposedly pieces from the cross of Jesus Christ that he said had healing powers that he wanted to use to help people, or a lot of instances of the Black Plague, things like that going around, and he at least claimed that he wanted to help people by gaining this item. You had made your way down into the tunnels beneath the temple, following a map given to Santiago by a follower of Seth called Anath. You found your way all the way down there, eliminated a few guards. Once you reached into the area where the item was being held, it was sealed up in an impenetrable room. Thankfully, Ynes managed to shadow step inside, and by solving a puzzle with the help of Ariadne, managed to open the door to the place. He discovered a tomb inside. And when Santiago removed the True Cross, which were two pieces of wood that had been nailed together with 3 nails, from the cover of the sarcophagus began to open. Santiago immediately shadow stepped his way out of there, leaving you behind to deal with this. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the donation. Another round of night moves. Y'all are set. Another round of night moves for everyone from our good friend Andrew, who plays in the Stera game. He's on hiatus right now, taking care of his newborn baby. But we miss you, Andrew. We love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You had seen that whatever this thing was coming out of the coffer. One of the Salubri was there, a woman named Saba. And while you all attempted to escape, with Severa managing to recover the scroll from the Night Mother that Jen wanted to find in that tomb, Ariadne sacrificed herself by jumping inside the sarcophagus with whatever is in there, closing it and sealing it down. And that's where we left all of you last week. But before we get back to that, we begin tonight with some words from Dante Rossetti, The Burden of Nineveh. Deem they of this, those worshippers, when in some mythic chain of verse which man shall not again rehearse, the faces of thy ministers yearned pale with bitter ecstasy. Greece, Egypt, Rome, did any god before whose feet men knelt unshod them deem that in this humblest abode another scarce more unknown god should house with him from Nineveh? In what quarries lay the stone from which this pillared pile had grown? Unto man's need how long unknown since those thy temple, court and cone, rose far in desert history. What is here that does not lie? All strange to thine awakened eye. What is here that can testify, save the darkened presence of the sky unto thy day in Nineveh? The consecrated metals found and ivory tablets underground, winged teraphim and creatures crowned, when air and daylight filled the mound, fell into dust immediately. And even as these, the images of awe and worship, even as these, so smitten with the sun's increase, her glory moldered and did cease from immemorial Nineveh. And so we return to Nineveh always. All things are cyclical, a spiral ever turning in on itself. The actions we take ripple and echo through time, and on occasions the ripples become immense waves that capsize boats and swallow cities. A knife cuts a pomegranate. A piece is offered, taken, swallowed. It feeds the blood which is then spilled to fortify the pomegranate tree from which the next fruit comes, is cut, offered, swallowed, and on and on and on. The true horror is losing sight of this cycle, this repetitive nature of life, and forgetting to acknowledge when disaster does strike, that we knew better all along. We had read the signs. We just willfully chose to ignore them. We are the cross upon which this world is hung, nailed, pierced, and left to die. Severa, a long time ago, when you were still a human, you remember a night you were in the servants' quarters, sleeping, when there was a hurried knock at your door. Severa, the master wishes to see you now.
Now? What time is
Yes.
it?
It is not quite dawn yet. He's called for you specifically.
Of course. I'll get up and hurry, put on a shawl over my... I don't even think I get completely dressed. Just shawl on
Hurry.
top.
The door opens and there's one of the other servants there who's got a torch in his hand, lighting the area. Not a torch, probably candles would be more likely. Come, quick. He's in a mood again with the mistress.
Okay, yes. Should I bring anything?
No. Hurry before he loses his temper further.
I'll follow.
You follow the servant. The night is warm, as it always is here in this part of the world, regardless of what time of year it is. The white stone walls barely cool down after the heat of the day as you walk barefoot through the darkened corridors and make your way to the master's chamber. As you approach, you hear sobbing, her sobbing again, his wife. Sobbing in pain, in anger, in frustration, in fear. The other servant knocks at the door. Come in. The door opens. The other servant, fear in his eyes, gives you the candle. Good luck.
I'll rush over at I'll try to rush over to the foot of the lady of the house.
When you walk in, you find her cowering in a corner on her knees. You approach her. She was always a very beautiful woman, but after contracting a disease a few months ago, part of her face and the skin on her neck and her shoulder has become mottled, as if it's very old parchment now, cracked and kind of always bleeding and dry. You rush to her, and when you do, she looks up in your face and covers her own face and sort of tries to cower away from you.
I'll hold the candle, politely. My lady.
The master of the house is pacing, drinking wine from a carafe. I have made a decision. He comes over, stands over the two of you. Her time here is done, but your time is just beginning. And he reaches down and he runs a thumb on your forehead. You are the most beautiful of my servants. You will be my new lady, my new wife.
What? No,
I have no more use of this one. She has given me 2 children. That is all I require of her.
She's not dying, my lord. She's still a human being.
Have you seen her? She may as well be. She used to have a face as pretty as the morning sun.
I hold back from saying so did you. I'm gonna very purposefully tuck her hair back behind her ear, and I won't touch anything. I don't want to get anything, but I'm very much not afraid to approach her, and I kind of am soothing her and saying, shh, shh, shh. It's okay. It's all right.
She grabs your hand and she says, you do what you must. You do what you must. Do not throw your life away needlessly. I would rather walk out of here with my head high than bear this one more night.
No. Please don't. Please stay. I don't want this.
The man drinks from the carafe and says, "You may think you don't want this now, but don't be stupid, Severa. Think, all of this, all my land, could be yours." And he reaches at his belt and pulls out a dagger and flips it around. All you need to do is prove how much you want it.
I have no use for your land. I have no need for it. What do you mean by prove?
I can't have 2 wives. The law forbids it.
No.
If you want the place, it is yours, but you have to work for it. You have to earn it.
I don't want it. I won't take it. Not for her life.
Says, you must. He'll kill you if you don't. You're young, beautiful still. You have much of your life ahead of you.
Please, no. I can't end up like this.
Don't be a fool. And he grabs your hand and he puts the dagger in it. He walks away drinking. Don't be a fool. One swift stroke is all it takes.
How drunk is he?
He's pretty drunk. He's kind of stumbly.
Can I stab him instead? In the back?
You want?
I fucking want to stab him in the back. Severa is going to hold the knife in her hand and like stare at the lady she's been serving for, I suppose, long enough to have this kind of reaction. And she's going to kiss her on the forehead and place her hand on the back of her head. And just like when she pulls back, looks at her in the eyes. I don't want this for either of us. And she's going to turn and like quickly jump and stab him right in the back.
Your feet are silent on the stone floor. He turns around just at the last moment, thinking to see what he expects to see. Your blade plunges right in his neck. The wine spills as the blood explodes from his neck, the two of them mixing, spilling all over you, your nightshirt becoming soaked in it as you drop on top of him and hit him with the knife again and again. Moments later, you sort of come to. You are sitting on the floor. A few feet away from him, he's unmoving.
Is she still there in the corner?
She's gone. The door is open. You hear something strange. Birds chirping outside, a type of bird you've never heard before.
I'll approach a window.
You approach the window. You see outside something you've never seen before in a courtyard. There is this big black tree, leafless, and it seems to be glowing with this whitish light that emanates through cracks in the wood. As you look upon this tree and see a starless sky above it, my child, approach. A woman's voice in your ear, seeming to come from the tree.
I think I'll like self-consciously try to wipe the blood away and try to approach the tree.
You slip out of the window. The night is cool, cooler than you've ever felt it. There's a nice breeze coming in from somewhere. You walk through dew-laden grass, which surprises you because usually it's all dirt and dust and rocks out here. And you climb up to the tree. And as you approach it and stand before it, it seems to grow and sort of lean over you. And the voice that you heard speaks to you again and says, "The Dark Mother welcomes you.
Dark.
Beauty
Dark Mother.
is a thing that passes. Beauty is a transitory thing. Beauty is a thing that has no value in and of itself. You possess remarkable beauty, but you possess more than that.
What is that?
Would you like to know the Dark Mother?"
Yes.
When you say that, the tree's branches lash out and whip you all the way across your body, except your face. Your face is not touched at all, but these branches lash out and whip you and lacerate your flesh over your entire body, your back, your arms, your front, your legs, opening these long, shallow wounds across your entire body. Roots erupt from the earth, wrap around you, pull you down. As you are pulled into the earth, the dark soil that is at the base of this tree enters into all your cuts and your wounds and settles in there. You are swallowed by this earth. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna try to scratch my way up. I'm sure I can, but I'm gonna try.
You claw at it, you're trying to grasp it, the vines grab you, pull you down, the earth swallows you until only your face is left staring up at the sky. Everything goes dark. You wake up. You are lying on a stone slab in a crypt somewhere. You hear someone puttering about, moving things.
Who's there?
You awake?
Who are you? Who's that?
I told them you were not dead, but they did not believe me. They said they could not feel you breathing, and I said, well, doesn't mean that she's dead, but they would not hear anything. This young black woman with a red shawl turns around and comes over to you. How are you, my child?
I don't know where I am. Did I die?
Oh, you're in the family crypts. Well, they thought you had died, but I told them that you were not dead. You are a little worse for wear. When you look down on your naked body, you can see that you have these black scars covering you everywhere, except your face.
What happened? What's happening?
It seems the Dark Mother called you.
I didn't ask for this. I didn't mean to kill him.
You did. You did. Ask for it. The Dark Mother doesn't come to anyone who doesn't ask for her. My name is Lamia.
Where's my lady?
The woman of the house, she's gone. Most of the servants are gone.
What will become of me?
You will live a very long life serving the Dark Mother. The very blood of Lilith courses through my veins. You will serve the Dark Mother and love the most bestial and horrible of her children as God loves the pure and beautiful. For that is what the Dark Mother wishes of you. And at that she bears fangs and grabbing you in this incredibly strong grip, bites you. You feel immense pain as she drains your blood. You feel your body weakened. You feel yourself empty. The pain from her bite is overwhelming. It almost shuts you down, but just before it does, it turns into something else. It turns into a form of pleasure, the likes of which you've never felt before. It is not sensual, it is not sensual, but it is a deep deep sense of physical pleasure.
I didn't ask for this. Please. I just want to go home.
You are home. As you feel life ebbing out of you, almost disappearing, at that edge just before the light on the candle is blown out when you're blowing on it, she offers you some of her blood. You feel it touch your lips. You realize this is the last chance you have to refuse this and die, or to accept it and serve the Dark Mother.
Severa will, reluctantly, it touches, the corner of her mouth, and her mouth sort of rolls into her arm as she starts drinking. And she grabs her wrist with her hands and is clawing almost as tightly as she was clawing to get out of the dirt.
The blood courses through you, and in no time, you start hearing chimes and the voice of the Dark Mother, a voice that has been with you now since that night. Many years later, Ynes, Maat is guiding you through the port quarter of the Latin Quarter in Constantinople. He is looking around and says, I'm very sorry, my lady. These taverns very much look one like the other. I was told to look for a seedy tavern in the docks area. I should have known better than to assume that it would be an easy find. I believe it's this one. Ah, yes. I see these, and he points at a number of runes that have been carved on the side of the door. These are from Scandinavia. They are Norse runes. This is where he is rumored to lay his head.
And you are certain he will help us?
Well, I cannot be certain of that, but I would like to know that you are certain of this. I understand your desire and your need for this, but it seems a little much.
Matt, nothing in that house is mine. It all belongs to the bastard who put the ring on my finger and said the words before the priest. And I cannot let that stand.
Wouldn't a blade between the ribs do just as well?
Yes, I suppose it would, but it is good to have someone like this on retainer. And
Yes,
besides,
a lot of people.
I know. Besides, who are they going to look at first? If the master of the house were to be found with the blade between the ribs, who do they point fingers at first? What?
Church will be sure to move swiftly to acquire our Lord's estate.
Then we will just have to be faster, won't we?
As you wish. And he guides you inside the most rowdy, raucous, smelly tavern you've ever set foot in your life. Even back in the days when you were more of a dedicated to your own life on the streets, you'd never been in a place this overwhelmingly rank. Your man moves about, looks around, spots a warrior, moves over to him, talks a little bit, exchanges a purse of money, points to you. Mott and the man come over. Mott says, "This is Telok. He is his right-hand man." Telok says, "Well, hello there, young lady."
No one's called me young lady in quite some time. Telok, was it?
That's right, at your service.
It is not your service that I require, Telok.
Boy, here.
Where is he?
Tobias.
Yes, where is he?
I believe he is resting post sexual exploit with his conquests of the night.
Good for him.
Would you like to sit and wait for him to return?
Do you have any idea how long he'll be?
It depends on their fortitude and their physical capabilities.
God. Storyteller, what is the makeup of the tavern? I'm assuming we've got the bar, we've got the common area.
Yeah, so it's basically there's like just one major area, and it's done kind of like a Norse longhouse. There's like a big fire pit in the middle, and there are tables sort of around it. There's a bar at the other end. It's just this big open area. You see doors that lead to the back. You know there are stables in the back. There's no second floor or anything like that.
Okay.
And for your information, it's mostly humans in here.
Interesting.
Then, basically predominantly. I mean, I can take you to see him now, but it's bound to not be pretty, and you seem to be a lady of some grace. I wouldn't want to upset you.
I'm tougher than I look.
Everyone says that until they witness Tobias fucking, and then... Well, if you wish, I'll take you to him. I see you're not one to want to waste your time.
No, I'm not. I'm not one to wait. I'm not one to idle the hours. I don't care if he's balls deep in the Virgin Mary. I need to talk to your man.
Oh, that'd be a sight. You'd do it too. Come on then, my lady. Be careful, there's piss on the floor there.
There's no hesitation from Ynes. She doesn't seem to give a shit about the spilled booze, the piss, the vomit. She is just here on business.
He takes you out back where the stables are. You walk into a stables that is dirty, filled with the smell of horses and horse manure, and he takes you to one of the stalls, and he's like, "My lady, yes, the noble Varangian Knight Tobias, post-exploit." And he opens the door, and you see lying in a bale of rancid, rotten hay, this giant Nordic warrior with the dead and ripped apart bodies of two other men just lying in pieces around him. He's soaked in the blood. He's on his back, snoring away.
Do you clean up after him as well?
Yeah, unfortunately I do.
You should ask for a raise.
I do, every night.
And I'm going to
good word for me.
Considering, depending on how this goes, I'm not sure how well that'll do, but I can do my best. Gonna pick up her skirts and sort of step over a femur, a head, and then just sort of reach out and nudge.
Hi.
Tobias, I presume.
Depends who's paying.
I am.
He'll stand up and is just completely naked, covered in blood and other such things.
Ynes is not impressed.
Yeah. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
Ynes, Alameda.
He'll give a horrible bow. Well, what can I do for you?
This isn't exactly a conversation that needs to be had out in the open.
Look
Senor.
at the bodies. Valid. He'll grab
Also,
like
I imagine you might
towel.
want pants.
Pants. He'll just grab a towel to like cover the essentials and just start walking back into the tavern.
Men.
Mistress, I would say that describing Tobias as a man is kind of stretching the definition of the term.
As he is like around the corner, you just hear echoing out, "He's not wrong," and the door is kicked open.
I will follow. Just a string of expletives in Spanish as she goes.
He'll lead them to his room. He'll like start cleaning up, still naked, but start cleaning himself up a little bit. And he'll turn. So, what did you have in mind, Lady Ynes?
From the folds of the dress comes a not insignificant amount of gold. It's just dropped on the bedside table.
Okay, typically I like to have a conversation beforehand, kind of get the mood going, but hey, I'm good to go right now if you want.
Yes, I can see that. I hear that you're the one to talk to when blood needs shedding.
I am one to have experience in that department. Depends whose blood.
A man by the name of Sebastian Alameda.
Would I, storyteller, would I recognize that name at all?
Yeah, I think it would. He would be not like, you know, a top level kind of is a merchant, is he, Laura?
Yeah.
But like definitely like in the Latin Quarter one, not like one of the big rich merchants of the area, owns like, you know, several stalls and things like that in the market. So you would have heard the name.
Wow. Okay. Tall order. I don't really need to know why, but if you feel like sharing, by all means. Zero judgment on my side.
He's a bastard. And I don't mean that in the biblical sense.
Ah. Well, how unfortunate for him that it has landed him in enough trouble for his, I'm gonna guess, wife to be asking a monster to go and kill him.
I'll take a step closer. And up until this point, storyteller, I imagine Ynes has looked relatively human. But then I would like to drop the blush of health that I've been holding.
Oh.
I'm tired of hiding, and I'm tired of being second rung.
Well, that just spices things up a little, doesn't it? I'll do it. However, he'll reach down and pick up the gold. I feel like you're going to be better for a favor than for gold, and he'll hand it back.
Depends on what the favor is.
Oh, I'm sure when it comes up, it'll be fitting. Don't worry. It won't be anything uncouth. Just when the time is right. I plan to get the fuck out of this city, and I would love to return home. And when the time comes, I would love your support in ensuring that.
Should things turn out in my favor, and should the considerable fortune that should cross to my hand be avowed of me, I will see what I can do.
Perfect. So do we seal this in a bow?
If I may, though, before you get to the fucking part, I'd like to know, since I'm probably the one that's going to have to do most of this, how you want this done. Blade in the neck, decapitation, killed from afar with a javelin. What's your pleasure?
Valid question. See, as I keep him around.
Yeah, I'm the details guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to step closer to Tobias. How tall is he?
I put him at like 6'2".
Okay, so almost a full foot taller than Ynes. And in spite of that fact, somehow this petite Moorish woman in her fine mourning weeds. It's a little funny that she's wearing her mourning clothes before the deed's been done, but who knows? Almost seems to be looking down at you. But she'll reach up and just wipe a clot of blood from Tobias's cheek. I want you to do it.
Huh. You know, you should be aware. My, kiss, it's got some quirks involved. And he'll start coughing a little. The timing of my, whatever you want to call it, was a little unfortunate. You see, I unfortunately carry something quite deadly with my bite.
Even better. The blade can be traced. Illness, well.
Well, you're the boss. It'll be done. Just as you need.
You realize, of course, that this isn't a very precise thing. If he bites them, bites him, it's going to take a while for him to go, and in that time you might infect others. You could even start like an entire spread of plague throughout the city. Why do you think why do we think he kills everyone he fucks?
Something tells me she doesn't particularly care.
If you are truly concerned, Telok, I can ensure that my soon-to-be late husband will be quarantined as is appropriate. But people come in and out of this city every night. New ships, new vermin, new and interesting diseases. People fucking die.
Well, one thing's true about Constantinople. He gets up, grabs his flagon. There's a lot of vermin, and a lot of it's on two legs, but, you know, we do what we must. And he turns around and he walks off.
Hey, Telok,
Yeah,
I'll close the door on your way out.
didn't make a difference. He closes the door.
I will tell you where to go. I will tell you when he will be most vulnerable. And then I will leave you to be creative.
Sure. Can we take care of all the specifics afterwards? You know.
Afterwards.
Oh, I thought, read that wrong.
Do you want something, Tobias?
I would, yes.
Say please.
His fangs will elongate and his eyes will shift a little bit. Pretty please.
Ynes will walk forward, put a hand into his chest, and walk him back towards the bed.
No resistance from me.
And it's funny because someone in chat said they remind me of Carter and Lydia, and you are their ancestors, so that's kind of funny because
I-oh. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
that's right. Meanwhile, while the boot knocking occurs in a room, in a temple not too far from there, Anath, you and the other two have been called to Abbas's side. Abbas, of course, is the Salubri, who is the head of this temple. The other two are two of his three children. The third one has been told to stay outside of the temple, to live outside the temple in case what happened in Jerusalem occurs here again, which is that the temple gets raided and they get attacked. You have been called to him, and when you walk into the grove, there is in the courtyard of the temple a grove where pomegranate trees grow, and you know that Abbas's trick is to feed the earth there with kindred blood so that the pomegranates are very red and ripe and very strong and powerful tasting. As you and the other two approach, he has been carefully selecting pomegranate, and he picks one and he sits down on a bench and he motions for the three of you to sit down on the ground near him. And as you're doing so, he pulls out a knife and starts cutting it. And as he's doing that, since it's the first time we encounter Anath, would you tell us, Myriad, what Anath looks like?
Anath is a tall and slender woman with an unsettling beauty. She stands there, well, rather kneels there, poised, back straight, in all black with a red shawl, dark hair slicked back, and eyes the color of warm blood. And as she sits there almost dutifully, there is the barest trace of a smile on her face that seems to do nothing to harshen to soften the harsh angles.
As you sit with the other two, you watch as Abbas very expertly cuts the pomegranate in 4 pieces, each exactly the same size, each perfectly symmetrical. He says, "It is the blood that gives us life. So in this way, we are not so different from those who still feel the kiss of the sun on their faces." He hands each of you a piece of the pomegranate. The fruit had been perfect, and so was his cut. And thus, we must give thanks every day to this beautiful gift we have of endless nights. And in turn, must we return this gift to those in need. Go now, take a bite of this fruit, and go into the streets, find whoever is most in need. Give them the other bite. And so we share life. And as he says this, the door to the courtyard busts open, and you see a number of knights dressed in the black cloth of the Blackfriars, skulls on their pauldrons and on their helmets, all come rushing into the room. What would you like to do?
Anath is going to stand and begin to back away. There is a visage of fright on her face as these men barge in. And she's going to try and find a wall to sort of back herself up against.
You back up. The other 2 disciples, the children of Abbas, not a single one of them a war in any way, shape, or form, rush towards the men. The knights who are coming in have their swords drawn, and it's clear they're not here to have a polite discussion. As the other 2 Salubri reach them, a number of the knights do quick work of them with their blades, cutting off their heads, turning them to ashes in no time. As he stands there looking at this, Abbas places his piece of the pomegranate on the bench and sits down next to it and waits patiently. You've backed up all the way to the wall. The Blackfriars are not looking at you. What would you like to do?
I'm going to use unseen presence, and I am going to meld into the shadows.
You disappear, and from your vantage point, watch as one of the knights, apparently their leader, removes his helm as he approaches. You see his face is gaunt and deformed, and his jaw hangs over to one side, and his skin is sallow and dried up, and his eyes are just these red orbs sitting inside his face. You hear Abbas call this one de Lion. There's a couple of others with him who surround Abbas. They talk. It is clear that Abbas knows why they're here. They want something. The knights don't waste a lot of time. De Lion tells him that he's not here because of the stories that have been going around about the Salubri or any of that stuff. He's here because he wants the treasure that's hidden here. At the last, you watch as Abbas offers his piece of the pomegranate to the knights. To De Lion first, who spits on it. The other knight that takes it, this Moorish knight, who seems to be a little bit upset by everything that's going on, but he takes the piece of the pomegranate. The boss stands up and smiles at them, says something you can't quite hear. In a moment, his head is taken from his neck. He falls to ashes on the ground.
I think that Anath
The night
watches
starts
this.
playing out. Yep.
She watches this with almost a sick fascination. A almost smugness at the poetic justice of someone who tried to be so dutiful and repentant and just in this world being taken out in such a way. And she's taking pleasure in it. And she's watching very closely as they behead him. The first cut into the neck, the way that the blood gushes. She's fascinated by it.
The knights begin to move about the temple, begin searching it, begin taking count of everything that's in here, making lists, compiling everything that's here. You know that the biggest treasure in this place is buried deep below in tunnels. You watch for a little while to see if they know anything about it. If they make any move to try and discover it, you realize they don't seem to know about it. The only one who seems to be looking at different things in different places is the knight who took the pomegranate. He seems to be intent on trying to find secret passageways, things of that nature. You watch from the shadows for a while until you know the sun will rise soon. They don't seem to be intent on leaving. What would you like to do?
Is the young knight alone?
Yep, you at some point see him off on his own. He had a discussion with another knight who then walked away from him a bit in a huff. He is in the lower parts of the temple. He has moved caskets of what had once been wine but have since been emptied for a long, long time. And he's moved those and he's searching the walls around. He seems determined to find some sort of secret passage.
I think Anath is going to slip from the shadows right behind. And what are you looking for, little knight?
He turns around, pulls his sword, levels it up at you. Where the hell did you come from?
Shadows hide many things. I'm the least scary.
You don't have to tell me about shadows. And as he says this, you feel shadows around you move and start to encircle you. I advise you to tell me who you are before I make a decision on my own as to whether or not you should live or die.
How about a trade? A name for a name?
Santiago.
Anath will do a little bow and introduce herself.
Are you part of this temple then?
Briefly.
Are you Salubri?
No.
And what are you doing here?
Repenting.
That's laudable. Repenting from what?
Oh, many sins. You know, this, that, murder. Mostly.
He lowers his sword. And do you intend to murder me now?
Do you think I should?
Well, I'd rather you didn't. Whether or not you should is not for me to decide.
No, I think it's very much your decision.
God decides. But I don't suppose you listen to him.
Not that one, at least.
Then what are you doing here? I know the stories about the Salubri are not very good, but I believe they are lies. I do not believe they would harbor one such as yourself, unless you perhaps had found your way in here by deceit.
You think me deceitful? Why, we've only just met.
Those who hide in the shadows seldom have much they want to be showing off in the light.
One of those who control the shadows.
What? Touché. You know this place well?
I know it well enough.
You know what lies beneath.
I know something lies beneath.
Do you know how to access it?
Perhaps for the right price.
And what would that price be? What would one such as yourself require that you could not get for yourself?
Entertainment.
And I'm not much of a musician or a raconteur.
Not that kind.
Tell me then.
I simply want to see what happens. Should you gain access? What do you think will happen?
Well, there's what I hope will happen, and that is a very simple matter of me finding what I want and taking it out of here. Beyond
What
that,
is it that you want?
Again, either you know and you don't need me to tell you, or you don't know and then shouldn't know. If entertainment is all you seek, then the actual goal of mine should be of no consequence. Merely how entertaining getting there is.
At this point, do I have the map of the tunnels?
No, you don't, but you could draw it very easily.
Okay. I'm going to take out a piece of parchment and some ink, and I'm going to start to map out the tunnel system that I know.
As you draw it out, he looks at it. What I want, we may not be able to bring out the same way we go in. I assume going in would create a little too much of a ruckus. Is there another way out? Perhaps a way that leads to the canals or near the docks?
Would I know of this way out yet?
Yeah.
There is.
But you won't tell me now.
Well, I can't give away all of my secrets.
And all you want is to be a witness.
Simply that.
You are aware, of course, that I do not trust you.
It is wise of you to do so.
I trust you even less now.
With that, I am going to give him another bow, and my body will start to twist and contort to that of a cobra.
You actually see him kind of take a step back, and he goes to sign himself, but he stops. You know, there is another one who famously took a form such as this to tempt and deceive a long time ago.
If a snake could wink, my snake form would be winking at him as I slip back into the shadows in search of the very tunnels I had just drawn out for him.
These very same tunnels you find yourself in right now, Anath. You've witnessed everything that happened before. You witnessed this group of Cainites come into this room that was sealed tight. Even you could not get into it before. But somehow they managed to do it. They managed to open it. They found inside this tomb, there was something on this tomb, a cross, perhaps something of that nature that Santiago took and then disappeared with. Apparently he didn't need to know the way out, after all. The sarcophagus started moving. The cover started sliding off. The Cainites in there started scrambling about. One reached further in to try and find a scroll amidst a bunch of papers that were lying around. She was pulled back by another one, and one of their numbers, a strange one who spoke of stars and the moon and the sun, voluntarily threw herself into the sarcophagus as it was opening, and for some odd reason, this had some kind of effect. As the sarcophagus lid began to close, all of you now are in the room, seeing this happen before your eyes. The casket closes and begins to seal off, becoming a solid block of stone. You see white fire erupting on the cover of it. You see this fire trail across the cover of the sarcophagus, burning into the stone. This brilliant white light that blinds you but doesn't strike fear in you the same way the sun would normally. You all hide your eyes and back away from it. You hear Ariadne's voice one last time saying goodbye. When you look again, the light has died down, the fire has died down. The other Cainite who had come in earlier, the one with the third eye, is kneeling, looking up at this sarcophagus. She says, God has come to this place. You pick yourselves up. You can see as you do that the sarcophagus has changed. There seems to be something inscribed now. The fire inscribed something on the cover, and you can see what appears to be a golden sword hilt standing out from what would be the head of the sarcophagus, where the cross used to be originally. What would you like to do?
I am just curious and just nosy enough to look and see what this new writing says.
Do you read Latin? Probably.
Yeah,
Probably
I
safe
would have.
bet.
Yeah, no, a couple of languages under my belt. Latin being.
I'm not gonna try to read the Latin version because I'm probably just gonna murder it. But in Latin is written on the cover of the sarcophagus: Saint Michael the Archangel, illustrious leader of the heavenly army, defend us in the battle against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the world of darkness and the spirit of wickedness in high places. You recognize this as the prayer to Saint Michael, a prayer of protection.
What does it say?
It's the prayer to Saint Michael.
That's all well and fine. But what the fuck?
The Cainite that came and tried to drag us all out. You said storyteller, she's still here? Or they are still here?
Yeah, she is currently kneeling by the sarcophagus and seems to be in a bit of a trance. When you look at her, you see her two eyes are closed and only the third one is open, and it seems lit by some kind of inner fire, as she seems to be using some form of discipline or something to try and reach out and perhaps kind of get a sense of what has been going on.
I don't think we're going to get any answers out of that one. Just a thought.
What is she doing? Is she protecting us too?
Does she respond if I go up and like tap her?
Yeah, she looks over at you again with her eyes kind of closed, but that third eye kind of disturbingly staring at you.
Would I know
God has been here.
what she's doing, having spent time in the Salubri temple?
Yeah, so you would assume that she's probably just trying to sense what the presences are here, like using aspects or something like that to try and get a sense of if the presence that is here, because obviously there was a presence, something happened, trying to figure out, is it a good presence, evil, is it dangerous, things like that. She's probably kind of just trying to ascertain exactly what kind of energy, what kind of being was here.
I think at that point I will probably step from the shadows. She's simply reaching out to see if that being is still here or not.
The moment if a footstep is heard, Tobias's claws extend just a little bit. And he'll turn. Please, please tell me that you're allied with Santiago, because I definitely need to cause some bloodshed right now.
Well, why would I do that then?
He'll like turn and start walking towards. You have 3 seconds to start running.
No, I don't think I'll be doing that. And Anath will give a little bow. Pleasure to meet you all. I see you made use of the map.
And you are.
Anath.
Gesundheit.
The
And-
woman kneeling next to you says, "She is a member of the temple. She came to us seeking absolution." And the third eye closes and her eyes open and she stands up. But I must say that now I doubt the veracity and the purity of your claims. Anath, where were you? And why are you still alive when the others are dead?
Well, I ran. Can't expect me to have stayed to be slaughtered with everyone else. I knew of the tunnels, I took to the tunnels. There was no time to bring everyone else. We had all scattered.
So why come here
mean-
now then?
Well, something calls to me.
What would that be, sister?
My eyes slide over to, assuming it's just a large rock now that she's kneeling in front of. The
Yeah,
once
it's like
was
a
the sarcophagus.
Rectangular block of stone.
Whatever was in there.
What is in there
Well-
is extremely dangerous. A boss knew this. That is why we hid it here.
Well, this place is no longer safe.
It was bound for Francia. And that is where it should go.
Why?
She looks at you. My name is Saba. I am the child of the priest who was murdered here, who founded this temple, who founded the one in Jerusalem before the Blackfriars found us there and exterminated the rest of us. This thing inside this sarcophagus, it's unclear. It is known only as the Unnamed. There is a story that predates the deluge. There was a Cainite who wandered the earth back then. He stumbled upon a village where the humans were depraved, committing the darkest of blood sacrifices, worshipping dark chthonic entities. They had a well at the center of the village where they would throw the bodies of those they sacrificed. This Cainite, whoever he was, and history differs on who he might be or who she might be, decided to show these humans what true depravity was, slaughtered the entire village and threw all the bodies down in the well. After doing this Cainite cut themselves, bled into the well, and walked away. 3 emerged from that well. 2 that we now know. Sorry?
I've seen that.
Seen.
What have you seen?
I've seen, and she kind of like turns her head back to when they were all at the tunnel. When I had the vision of the 3 from the well, and I fell to my knees. I've seen this.
First 2 have names. They are the elders of the Bali bloodline. The 3rd does not have a name. The 3rd is unnamed and lies in this sarcophagus now. Or so we believe. Being of corruption and darkness. Thank you, darling Creepshow. Thanks for dropping in. Have a wonderful night of your own.
And now our sister is in there as well.
For the longest
happen?
time,
Terrible.
What will happen to her?
I don't know, but for the longest time, this sarcophagus and its contents were in Jerusalem. We believe that this is what caused all these holy wars that have begun springing up. The hope was that by removing it from Jerusalem, moving it further west, moving it to Francia, that we might be able to lessen its influence and perhaps spare the Holy Land the bloodshed that has become its lot. Your friend is in there and you wish to find her again, or people in Francia might be able to help.
So that's all well and fine. But Santiago left with my payment.
And
And
mine.
I would still very much love to leave this godforsaken city. So, thoughts on hunting down our new prey?
Anath, you know the way out of these tunnels, do you?
I do. And I do know, even more interestingly enough, a boat.
If it is payment you want, I will pay you what you had been promised to help us move this. Help us get
No.
it to the port.
I think that I
Sorry?
shall do this of My own free will. The kindness of my heart.
Hmm.
You strike me as a snake. Am I wrong?
Quite perceptive.
You should be careful. There are Azamites about. One of them desires the head of a snake.
Well, I don't intend to get caught.
More power to you.
I think I like her.
I think I do
This
too.
temple holds much treasure. I'll pay all of you. Whatever Santiago promised you, more even, to help us bring this sarcophagus to the docks so that we may send it to Francia.
I have little need of treasure. What I need is to make sure that what is mine remains mine.
Are you satisfied, Tobias?
Partially. I will ensure that this sarcophagus is brought to your boat. But the entire reason to return home died because of an Azamite. And now someone walks around the holy artifact that we gave to him on a silver platter. So, what's the going rate for a true cross to be returned to its rightful owners?
From my understanding, the cross is what kept this sarcophagus closed. Whatever your friend did is doing that work right now quite well. I think the bauble that Santiago left with is immaterial at this point. This is the new burden. This block of stone and whatever it contains.
Growl all you want, Tobias, but if we betray the one who saved all of us, you're going to be the one to explain why.
He's right. Ariadne had not stepped in, we would likely be in pieces in this God's forsaken crypt.
Possibly worse, if this thing is what we believe it to be.
Snake or not, we need this one's help. You can play with your food later.
Fine. Where do we start?
Severa, just as a little note before we begin this wonderful journey together, I have no problem giving you an actual reason to wear bandages over your eyes.
Well, then you two will meet Lilith when your time comes.
Good. We have an understanding. Shall we?
Let's find a way to lift this thing. And the lot of you will set your minds and backs to finding a way to lift this thing. You will find it not as heavy as you expect. You will be able to find sturdy enough logs of wood to slide underneath to act as handles so that you can carry it and start moving down the corridors led by Anath. And we will see exactly where that leads you after we've taken a short break. Thank you very much, my players. Y'all so awesome. Y'all want my heart. You're also evil. I love it. And thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone in chat hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Appreciate you greatly. Thank you for hanging out. We will be back in just a few moments, so please do not go away. We'll see you soon. Well, let's pick off where we left off. You all had just agreed to help Saba get this sarcophagus out of from underneath the temple and to the port, where it might be loaded off onto the boat and sent to Francia. Anath knows the way out through the tunnels. You have managed to find ropes or chains or something to kind of get under the sarcophagus, lifted up, and it's really not as heavy as it appears to be, kind of oddly enough. And I would say that likely two of you would be enough to sort of carry it. Anyone potence would be fine. If you don't have potence, it's not a big deal. Like it's way lighter than it should really be. Anath will lead you down a series of increasingly tighter tunnels. The tunnels you find have increasingly also water running at the bottom of it. So that tells you that one, you're going downhill, and two, you're approaching bodies of water, and there's probably you're going under some of them as there's water down that's seeping down the walls. These tunnels are, as I said, very cramped, long, made of stone, very damp. It becomes kind of difficult to see. You do have lanterns and torches with you. As you are traveling down these tunnels, following Anath, who seems to know pretty much exactly where she's going, Cujo, Laura, and Aaron, please go ahead and make me a perception and awareness check. Or alertness, whatever it's called in this version of the game. Alertness. So perception and alertness.
Target number 6.
Yes.
That would be 3 successes.
Also 3 successes.
3 successes and a crit.
Excellent. As you are moving along, so let's figure out who's doing what. Who would be helping carry the thing? The sarcophagus. Okay. The two of you are carrying this thing. The three of you will notice as you're going down this hallway, at some way it wasn't there, and then it kind of appears and you realize it goes away back behind you, but there's a golden thread.
As in quite literal golden thread? Or...
Very literally, there's a thread of some golden color that's laying on around along this corridor.
Gonna poke it with the toe of my boot.
It moves.
Are we supposed to follow this?
I mean, is it in the direction that we are headed?
It is. You notice that the tunnel behind you is exceedingly dark, and so is the tunnel in front of you. The three of you are standing in the only area that's got a little bit of light, holding this sarcophagus, looking at this thread. You don't see Saba or Anath at all anymore.
I imagine Severa's in the front where the head is of Ariadne, and she's the whole time been like humming like a hymn or something to kind of potentially calm her should she be alive in the sarcophagus. And she's sort of like places, as she's holding it, places a hand on the stone and says, I believe we should move forward. But, Luna, please stop us if this thread leads to danger.
You
I think
say
we should move
this,
forward.
you look up to your friends and realize they're not there. You're alone. It is you and the sarcophagus and this thread that goes off into the darkness.
Tobias? Ynes?
Darkness is closing in on you on either end.
I'm going to reach down and grab the thread.
When you grab the thread, the darkness stops and around you becomes a little brighter. Like very, very nice moonlight.
I'm going to tug it so there's more towards me.
When you do that, you realize that this light is kind of emanating from around you. You're kind of at the center of it when you hold the thread.
I'm going to take a step forward and try to carry the sarcophagus by myself.
It's not moving. It's way too heavy. Like now it's as heavy as you would have expected it to be.
And they're still not there.
No.
Do not leave me, Mother. And I'm going to try to walk forward. I don't know why I'm closing my eyes because nobody can see them. Try to walk forward with the thread.
Method acting.
Daniel Day-Lewising this whole way.
Cujo, the three of you are carrying the sarcophagus. You see the thread.
Well, that's handy.
Ynes kicks it with her foot. It moves a little bit. You put the sarcophagus down. You see there's only the three of you left.
Where'd Severa go?
Severa.
He'll like walk around to the other side of the sarcophagus and activate his eyes of the beast.
When
See if he
you
can see
do
through
that,
the dark.
you realize you're alone.
Fucking city. Is my eyes of the beast revealing anything in the darkness around?
The only thing you see is the golden thread. That when you look out into the darkness, you can see it shining bright through the darkness and leading along.
He'll curse in his native tongue, reach down and grab the thread, and just kind of pull. Like, is it attached to something?
It just, like when a rope is really long and it kind of starts lifting, but then eventually it's so long that it goes back to the real. That's kind of what it's doing, and it gets lost off in the darkness. Seems to be attached at the sarcophagus on this end, though. Like it's trapped underneath it.
And I'm sure I can't lift the sarcophagus to try to free.
Not unless you have a few levels of potence.
Damn.
You feel cold breath of wind, like the north wind, coming down the corridor, washing over you, lifting your hair up. You smell the sea.
He'll look between that and their sarcophagus, and fucking hell, he is going to turn his back on the breeze, and he's just going to keep trying to figure out how to stick with the sarcophagus. He's choosing the sarcophagus over his home.
No problem. And yes, you watch as Severa goes down and puts her hand on the sarcophagus and starts to say a prayer. Then you hear Tobias moving as he's walking around the sarcophagus. You look at him. When you look back, Severa is gone. And then when you look back the other way, so is Tobias. You are alone in this tunnel. This glowing thread leading off into the darkness. The darkness at either end of the tunnel is starting to close in on you. The prayer on the sarcophagus shines brightly and then attenuates.
I suppose the same as the others. If I get down and pick up the thread, what changes?
When you pick it up, the brightness around you glows a little bit more.
And if I put my hand on the sarcophagus while the other hand is holding the thread?
Nothing changes. You just feel like there is something, this thread, whatever it is, this golden thread seems to be emanating from the sarcophagus somehow.
I'll start reciting the prayer.
You start reciting the prayer. Your voice begins to echo throughout this hall. You look around and you find yourself, the sarcophagus is on a raised dais. You are in a chapel, the chapel that you used to attend service in when you were young. It's a very, very modest wooden little shack. There's sunlight that's coming in through the windows. You are holding the thread. There is, a little further away from you, a woman, dark skin wrapped in a black sort of shroud. She is humming as she is moving about, putting fresh candles in, cleaning around. You feel a familiarity with her, like maybe she's someone from your childhood that you don't quite remember because you were too young.
I will call out, Perdona. Senora, perdóname.
He looks at you and smiles. Anath, you are standing with Saba. You are at the cave-like exit to the tunnels. The sarcophagus is lying there. The other three have fallen around it. They seem to have gone into a torpor or some sort of deep sleep. You know what's going on. You remember when this happened to you a long time ago. You know they're being shown the truth. As you see this, you get an image in your mind. You see a number of images, symbols, and you hear a voice that you haven't heard in a while that reaches out to you and says, "Draw these on the casket." And as you're contemplating that, Saba says, "You have no intentions of letting this casket reach Francia, do you?"
I look at her. What would you do if I said I didn't?
Well, first I would say you've literally been a snake in the grass this whole time, but the next thing I would say would be that a boss knew. The boss knew what you were, and he let you in anyways. So, I would then ask you a question. What do you make of that? You know the story, of course, of God placing the tree of knowledge right in front of Adam and Eve and telling them that this contained all the knowledge in the world, but they were not to touch it. What is wisdom gained without temptation? You have no virtue unless your virtue is tested. If God knew that the devil would bring the apple to Eve and Eve would eat it, why did he put it there? So I ask you again, what do you make of that?
I think that a man that lets a snake into his home and doesn't expect to be bit is foolish.
Severa, you round a corner, following the thread. You see lining the walls when you do a few dozen people, poor, sick, and ill of Constantinople, sitting, lying on the ground along this narrow corridor. Amongst them is a monk. You can't see his face, his cowl is pulled up. He's moving among them. He is giving them words of comfort, giving them water to drink.
Brother, where does this gold thread lead? And I'll hold it up in my hand.
It leads right here. And he turns around and you see that the golden thread stops right underneath where he is. And it's been bringing you to me.
Do I know that voice?
Nope.
Okay. Who are you?
Unfortunately, I do not have a name. But I do have a great, deep, abiding love for you and what you've done for these people.
Me?
Yes, you, Mother Mercy. You give them comfort. You give them help. Take away their suffering. You do not judge them for being ill, being disfigured, being twisted. You love them as much as God loves light and purity.
Of course. There are many monsters among us, but these are not one of them.
No, and aren't all the monsters of this world the children of our mother?
You are son of Lilith.
Aren't we all?
I think Severa, had been tense this entire time and just my fam.
I feel her. She moves through you, doesn't she?
She has for a very long time.
You are blessed.
It's one way to look at it. I have a friend. She is protecting us.
The moon
Yes.
in the coffin.
I don't know where my other... I don't know where
They're
the others
following
went.
their own threads. They're following their own threads. Each of you has your own path to walk.
What happens if we can't save her?
That is somewhat out of your hands. What she has decided to do will only get resolved further along the thread. But let me ask you a question. You've been so selfless, so devoted to these people, their plight. If I were to ask you, what do you want? What does Mother Mercy want? What would be your answer?
I immediately pull out the scroll that I had taken with me, and I present it to him.
He smiles. Tobias. You are sitting on the coffin holding on to this line.
Any minute now, they'll show up.
You look up. You're sitting at the edge of a pier. You have a fishing line in your hand. The water below you is cold but not frozen yet. You see up ahead a beautiful ship, a drakkar, moving slowly. You know it belongs to you. You know it's your ship, or it could be. You hear the men on it singing, the men and women on it singing songs of victory, and near you on the beach, you see a strange man, tattoos covering his face, lighting a bonfire, burning something.
I will approach, and sort of as he circles around, I'll sort of be on the opposite side and follow along. What's the occasion?
Oh, simply burning away old things we don't need anymore, Jarl.
Jarl. Tobias is going to take a second to just breathe in that cold air.
You get the cold air, that scent from the water, the smoke, the wood burning. You remember so much of this place. It is just outside where you grew up. You remember the last time you saw it, just before you took off to go and seek your fortunes in the Mediterranean with Ironside. Things that led you eventually to joining the Varangian Guard in Constantinople to protect an emperor that wasn't even your emperor. And all the while, your people continued surviving, trying to conquer England. Being here now brings back all these memories.
Tell me, what is it that we don't need that you are choosing to burn?
There are things from our past. You know, one of the best way to get rid of disease is to burn it. There were some who said when you came back that disease you carry would spread throughout the people, that you would bring back death to your own homeland. Look how easily it burns. Look how easily it is purged from you. Look how easily it makes you whole, pure again. Fitting for a Jarl. You feel different. That cough is gone.
This is some sort of test.
Oh no, Jarl. It is not a test. Merely an offer.
Huh. And who's making the offer this time?
One who has no name. What they require of you is very simple indeed, and what they offer in return is everything. And he gestures, and you see the boat, the fjord, the mountain, the village nearby, the fire burning at his feet. You know you still have blood running in these hills. Little ones that carry your name still. Oh, they hear the stories of Grandpa Tobias. I'd be thrilled to meet him. Especially the one that bears his name. He'll make a fine warrior someday. He'd love to sail with his grandfather.
What do you ask me to do?
He smiles at you. Yes. The woman perks up and goes, Yes, is that you?
Lo siento, señor. I don't. Who are you?
That name kind of comes back to itself. You know she was Sister something or other, but the name escapes you. She comes over. Are you okay? My, you've grown. You were so little before. Not much higher than a candle. Here you are, so tall and strong. You've really made something of yourself, haven't you?
One could say that. Sister, do you know where I am?
You're at home.
Where I've been?
Oh, you've been abroad? I assume you've been traveling the world?
To an extent, yes. Then why am I here?
Well, I think you are here because you want something. There's something that is yours that you cannot get. And you would very much like to get it.
And how would you know that?
I know many things. You hear much here, echoing through these halls. And the voices carry. You know, they say that if you stand at one end of this little chapel and someone stands at the other, you can whisper. And because of the way it is built, the whisper will carry all the way over. That is how you hear things. Paying attention.
I have not set foot in this chapel in many decades.
That is
and I
true.
know where I was before I appeared here. I know
And
there are
perhaps
things in
that's
this
where the
world.
problem lies. You have not been here. You have not been in a place like this in some time.
I was a good Catholic once. I prayed to God to help me find my path in life. And after a certain point, he stopped responding. So I decided to rely on myself instead. Where am I? And please answer truthfully.
The most truthful answer I can give you is that you are where he wants you to be.
Who?
God doesn't really stop talking to us. God simply starts speaking in a different manner. He moves the world around us in certain ways. It is up to us to understand his meaning. I have on occasion spoken to him. And he has told me, Sister, you know what Ynes's real problem is. And I've said, she doesn't attend church. And he said, well, that is one of them, yes. But there is another one. She is satisfied with too little. She demands too little of this world, a world that should open up before her like a flower. She contents herself with picking a petal, when she should be taking the whole thing. She wants the leftovers, the dregs from some man who was not even fit to share her city, let alone her bed. She wants a few houses, some jewels, some money, fancy dresses, when she should be asking for everything.
And are you the one to give that to me?
They will never give you what is yours, but I can.
You know what they say, sister. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
You know who says that? The weak people who cannot handle the repercussions of their own actions and take responsibilities for their choices. These are the people who will murder someone and then feel bad about it, will hurt someone and then feel bad about it. Once you've made the decision to act, you should be able to move past guilt, grief, regret. Those are chains, manacles that bind you to the weakest and frailest part of you. The parts that refuse to ask for what you are owed, what you deserve. You are a magnificent creature, made of shadow. People should be asking you for things, not the other way around. There is a price.
There it is.
A very small one.
I will be the judge of that.
You do smile. Anath. Sorry, here I know you. Surprise! You've seen these symbols in your head. You've heard the voice asking you to mark the casket with them. Saba is standing there, looking at you. What will he do then?
Do I recognize the voice?
It is the voice of the one who drew you here.
I'm gonna look at Saba. I care not for gardens. I care not for apples. Your God wished for man to be uncorruptible. He should have made them so. The fault of corruption is not of those who tempt. It is those who give in to temptation.
These people have one thing that you do not, one thing more than you. They have free will. You are simply playing a part. You are simply a tool being used. The people, at least, who choose to give in or to resist temptation have free will. You are a slave.
Slave of whom?
Whatever voice is speaking to you, whatever is driving you to do what you do, whatever is driving you to find the worst in people and to bring it out, to coax it out of them, to nurse it, to feed it with your milk and your blood, to give it life.
No, you're not the
rotten
same.
life. No. We heal. We nurture the good in people. Even when we are being hunted because of the lies that Tremors are spreading about us, we continue to do what we have done, always.
Foolishly, it would seem. You've now been slaughtered twice in your own temples. A bit sad.
That is the price to pay to have true freedom. Freedom to do what we think is right, what we believe is right, to act the way we want to act, and to not be a tool.
I'm gonna go up to the sarcophagus and rake my fang across my thumb. And I'm going to start to almost make like I'm about to draw one of the symbols. Is there any sort of reaction from that voice in my head? Any sort of urging?
You feel a sense of, not even a sense of pleasure, a sense of things are as they should be. This is right. This is what should be happening. This is what I expect.
I'm going to draw my hand away, suck the blood off of my thumb, and turn to Saba. When will they wake?
I don't know. I did not do this.
I'm gonna give a kick to Tobias's foot.
Ow.
No reaction.
I'm gonna look to
It's not too
Saba.
late enough. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna look to Saba and lean against the wall. Free will.
It's not too late for you. You came under false pretense looking for redemption, but it's still attainable for you. Help me get this where it's supposed to go.
I think Anoth's eyes sort of trail back and forth between Saba and the sarcophagus. I've yet to decide.
Anath. Santiago wanted a piece of wood, the True Cross, because he thought it held power, but the True Cross is the one that we bear for our sins against others. The guilt we carry for past actions, the grief for those we've lost. The True Cross is the weight of what has been crushing us years, eons down the line. A punishment we cannot escape because it comes from inside, from ourselves. It's not two pieces of wood of dubious provenance. It's us. What we pass down in our blood. How our actions affect those who come after us. Be careful which sins you choose to bear. The boss was good to you. He took you in. He showed you kindness. Bear that. Let that be your cross. That of kindness, of mercy, of good. Is a much lighter cross to bear than the other. Severa. The monk takes the papers. Ah, the teachings of the Dark Mother. And what would you like from this? He hands them back to you.
The ability to continue to do my work. I need to return.
When you've read this, you will find wisdom in it. This wisdom will indicate a new road for you to follow. Promise me that you will follow that road, that you will create it for those who will follow you after, so that they may walk it more easily than you have. Lay the foundations, build the road. Lead them down the path to the Dark Mother.
I swear it, brother, but I have to go back.
Promise me one more thing and you can go.
Anything.
Protect Anath.
Why is she in danger?
Very much so. Swear to me that you will protect her. For she walks the same road that you do. She just does not know it yet.
I swear it.
He reaches out, puts a hand on your cheek. You are blessed.
Thank you.
Tobias. The price is a simple one. Protect Anath.
Protect the snake.
Protect the snake.
You know, there's something that I foolishly didn't do before when you had offered such beautiful thoughts. And that was to thank you. And it's just now dawning on me that I should thank you even more. Because you have echoed thoughts and worries that lie dormant in my mind. For this blight that exists in my bite, and what it would do to my people. So, in my gratitude, I would say this. The only trickster that will ever have a chance to take advantage of me is Loki himself. And he is going to spawn his feral weapons as gigantic bone-like fangs, and he's going to leap at the monk.
As you leap at him, he stands there smiling, and just before you reach him, he lifts up a hand. You stop in midair, hovering. He looks at you and he says, "Who do you think I am?" And he throws you into the bonfire in the church. Ynes. The demand, the request is a very simple one. One of your companions, her name is Anath, is being hunted, will be hunted. Others will turn against her. Protect her. Help her do her work. And in exchange, all that you dare not ask for will be yours. All that you deprive yourself, all that you think is too much to ask for, everything you feel you are unworthy to hold, will be laid at your feet. And you can be the Grand Queen this world deserves.
All for protecting the little garden snake.
Your mission is very important.
One of my biggest problems with the church is the fact that they require so much trust. Faith is the basis of everything. Have faith and it will come to you. Have faith that you will be given what you need. Fine. We'll protect the goddamn cobra.
Long may you reign. Anath, you're standing there leaning against the wall. You see Saba's third eye open as she gazes at you. What would you say is your mental state right now? What are the colors that she would see? She's got 4 successes and 1's a crit.
I would say there's turmoil. The revelation that she is being manipulated in one way or another. Anger. A rage building up inside of her. Icy hot and cold. All at once.
I see many things about you. I see that my words ring true. And see that you understand exactly what you mean to this creature. Strike back at it. Help me. Help me. Bring this thing where it will do no harm. Will no longer tempt. Will no longer manipulate and use. All you have to do is walk with me and the others down to the docks and get this thing on the boat to Francia. You can be free of it. and none other need to suffer from it.
You appeal to me with talks of mercy and kindness. I care not to have a hand reach down to me because I am below no one. What you really mean to say is revenge, Anath.
You can try to twist my words, Anath. You can try to appeal to the darker part of me. But I am no tool. I offer you an honest hand. Not everyone who reaches down into a hole to help someone out is doing it in a self-serving manner. I am helping you out of the hole so that you can be out of the hole.
I can climb out of the hole myself.
Snakes are not very good climbing out of holes.
So I think I'm
usually
a
how one
snake
keeps their
then,
prison.
and I have arms.
The three of you are starting to awaken just as Severa disappears. The three of you are coming to. You are lying on the ground around the sarcophagus. You are at a cave's entrance. If you need to do something, Erin, if you needed to step away or something, go ahead and do it. It's fine.
No, I was grabbing ice. You're good.
Okay. You are coming to, you hear voices. Anath and Sabatakan, you are lying around the sarcophagus. You see the night sky above you. You see the city laid out below you, not long before sunrise now. You can smell the docks and the port area not too far from where you are, just down the hill.
Shit. Look at Anath.
Good morning.
How long have we been out for?
A while.
I think the better question is, why were we out? And I'm going to stand quickly and try to help up Ynes and Tobias.
Thank you.
What did it show you?
Temptation. The teasing of a life that is so far beyond my grasp, despite everything I try and do. As Tobias says that, he's just going to slowly position himself between the sarcophagus and Anath.
Severa is going to slowly position herself between Tobias and Anath.
Believe me, I understand how insane this might sound, but I do not plan on killing any of you.
Had a change of heart.
Don't test me. But I am to ensure that this sarcophagus is to be delivered where it needs to go.
I think we may have all been set on the same path then.
Have we? And he's looking right at Anath as he says that.
same path then. We're all meant to be here to make sure the sarcophagus goes where it's needed.
Does
There we
anybody
have it.
refute this?
Depends on what the Nameless One offered each of you.
I already have what I need. I was offered nothing. I was asked.
No!
A cliffhanger. We'll never know.
We'll
We'll
never
never
know. Oh,
And
internet,
Erin
why?
just told us that they had storms on there.
Oh no.
These things happen,
Yes,
When you play
technical
with-
difficulties are always a thing.
Nothing quite like live theater.
Yes.
And I mean, so many of us had them tonight. Miko had the tornado warning. We had a huge storm here today.
West Coast
What are
vibes.
you
Well,
what are you gonna
Tobias is going to look at Ynes.
Oh, don't look at me like that.
I thought you liked it.
I was told to keep reaching. And I would have what I need laid at my feet.
That sounds an awful lot like accepting a deal and having everything you've been working for handed to you without one bead of sweat.
Hi.
There we are.
I was so cool until I wasn't.
Oh, it was a
man.
really cool like cliffhanger moment. Not gonna lie.
It was great. It was great. We were all like,
I'm back. There's a storm a brewing.
Mm.
What I miss, guys. Sever looks around.
There's
Just had to check with the monk.
Little tension, that's all. Well, Tobias, you know I don't have any problem with working up a sweat.
then prove it. And I'm not talking about the fun stuff.
Miss Anath,
Yes.
I was told, in no uncertain terms, that you are in danger.
Is that so?
I was as well.
So was I.
And I will have what I require. I will have what I need to climb to the heights that I have always dreamt of. If I make sure that danger does not find you.
Well, I guess that is awfully kind.
I wouldn't call it kindness. I'm terribly selfish at the end of things.
I also do remember a certain tarot card reading. It's coming back to you now. 4 symbols. One of them, a claw. predicted to betray the rest of you.
Hmm.
Abba says, what will it be, Anath? Seems like everyone's waiting on your decision.
Where'd you get the sarcophagus where it needs to go? Are we at the docks right now?
No, you're very close. You're just up the hill.
Severa
That's-
goes back. Sorry, Severa goes back to her post to look for the others.
That's fine for everyone then.
I can play nice. Shut up, Tobias.
No, it's just typically I'm the one having to say that.
I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody that our friend, every minute you all spend wasting time, is keeping us all safe.
Why do you think I'm sacrificing my return home to ensure her safe arrival?
Help me carry the sarcophagus, Tobias.
Tobias just wordlessly lifts.
The group of you descends the hill in tense silence. The city below you was lit up as always throughout the night with plenty of fires and light. You see people moving about. Life never really stops here in Constantinople. It's very much like you, kindred, whose lives never really stop. You just continue going long after you should have stopped. And so too here in Constantinople, life continues, regardless of the day or night. It moves on. You carry the sarcophagus, the weight of it somehow more than before, but it's not a physical weight. It's the weight of the decisions you've made to get here, the weight of the actions you've taken to get here, the weight of the fear of those you might still have to take. You walk down, approaching the docks. Anath guides you towards a boat. You hear different voices. Franken voices, Hispanic, Italian, people from everywhere. The night is dark, but off to the horizon you can see, to a certain degree, a bit of a glimmer. You know the night is almost over. Soon the sun will be up. You'll have to retire. You look at each other. You look at Anath. It's very difficult to tell what Anath is thinking, what Anath wants. The boat you're walking towards, men are moving upon it. They are busy loading it. It's difficult to see the name of it from where you are. The voices reach you. Are they Frankish voices? Are they voices from a different part of the world, perhaps? Bessarabia, to the north, where the Carpathian Mountains lie. As you step forward onto the dock, carrying the sarcophagus, and you see someone you've seen before, a knight, dressed in Blackfriar's armor. Gregor Christou, the knight who had come and had an argument with Santiago. You look at each other. You look at the north. Somewhere on the boat, a voice calls out that they're ready to sail. And that, my friends, is where we will end this series.
I refuse to accept that. We're going to play forever.
My heart.
I mean, I'll come back to this at any point. I'm just saying, Blake.
Monday at 8:30.
There is a little code at this. Just as Lord Gazumba with the big raid coming in. Thank you so much, Jay. Thanks for coming in, bringing all these wonderful people in. Yeah, really appreciate it. There's a bit of a coda to this. A letter that is being written. I will find it and I will read it to you in a second. Somewhere, the knight Gregor Christou is writing a letter. Dear Aveline, I hope this letter finds you well. I was delighted to hear of your recent acquisition. A child is a major responsibility, but one I am certain you will handle with your usual brilliance. I hope this Florence proves to be everything you say she is. I do greatly appreciate her painting you sent me, and can see the talent that no doubt drew you to her. You Toreador have always had a weakness for beauty, as frail and transitory as it may be. I write now because soon I will be returning home with a prize of my own. I expect to acquire, locked in a stone sarcophagus, what I believe might be the progenitor of my bloodline, the eldest, Zimshi himself. I plan to return with it home to the Carpathians, and there to the Cathedral of Flesh, where I will lay it at the feet of my grandsire, Yorak, and request to be elevated. I have, however, a favor to request. An old friend of mine, a knight by the name of Santiago, is headed to France. He has been corresponding with a young nun there named Odette that he met when we Blackfriars stayed at the monastery. I believe he means to embrace her, for he believes she speaks to God, or at least hears his voice. Should you encounter Santiago, he is of La Sombra's blood. Please keep me appraised of his whereabouts. He left Constantinople with a relic of some power, and I would be curious to hear what he makes of it. Once I am returned to the Carpathians, you should make plans to travel and see us again. We could continue your training in the arts of flesh crafting. You are our most skilled student. Until such time I remain, your loving uncle, Gregor Christou, Knight of the Blackfriars, Voivod of Bessarabia. Once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make, of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake, or sit upon a golden bow to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium, of what is past, or passing, or yet to come.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Fuck you, Bleak.
Yeah.